'Tis the season for which comes the season blah 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 season! Okay, bottom line, December is truly an interesting holiday, not only for it's known for having the most memorable holidays to celebrate, but it's known as the month of Christmas. I'm pretty sure most of us celebrate Christmas in America, except for that small percent of people who celebrate Hanukkah like me. I mean, we only get one Hanukkah special made by Adam Sandler. But what could we never forget to watch more than Christmas specials? I will admit, animated Christmas specials have had their big moments in our lives during the holiday season. Some will go down in history as one of the worst, such as the Christmas Tree or the Star Wars Holiday Special. And we all couldn't forget about the several masterpieces of Rankin Bass, for some of which stand out to help declare Rankin Bass as one of the most prominent stop-motion animation studios in history. Personally, one of my favorite iconic specials to watch would be The Snowman, Frosty the Snowman, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. But there can be some specials that are too obscure, too unknown, and in some cases, too underrated. That is where I introduce All of the Other Reindeer. All of the Other Reindeer is an underrated Christmas special most of you never heard about. I mean, sure, some of you may have watched it when you were very little, but it's still obscure. Especially with its extensive cast of all-stars such as Drew Barrymore and Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson, and Michael Stipe, the lead singer of Rem, along with some pretty unique and original animation of itself. While all of this may seem overwhelming for an obscure Christmas special, does it hold out to be one of the best? Let's go over it in today's video! So we start off with, well, what can I say about this? The first thing I want to say about this is that about a few seconds in and the animation already gives out so much for a late 90s special. I'm just simply saying that this started off amazing. You could already see the Parappa-esque of this animation shining through this movie. The 2D-like characters and props blending within the 3D background is just so satisfying, man. Even the mouth movements are pretty interesting as well. So Olive, played by Drew Barrymore, was walking home enjoying the snow until she bumps into Martini, a wisecracking penguin selling bootleg Rolex watches in the alley. Martini guilt trips of how he was kicked out of the zoo and calls himself a victim of oppression, even though he smuggled in junk food, dirty magazines filed hidden in cases. And I mentioned dirty magazines. 90s family Christmas movies still had balls at the time, so it wouldn't be that surprising.
So stand up for free enterprise. Fight the man. Buy a luxury timepiece, Pooch.
Piece of crap still charges $9 for the watch though. Olive goes back home to her owner Tim, who complains that Olive should act more like a dog rather than a civilized being. It turns out that Tim is cranky because Christmas is not happening this year, or doesn't have a girlfriend, and he always loved to celebrate it when he was little. So Olive and her flea friend find out that Christmas is not happening this year because a reindeer got injured during a flight test. However, the flea misinterprets it and claims that they need all of the other reindeer to do the job. The flea tells Olive that she's the only hope to save Christmas, even though she's a dog and not a reindeer. Then suddenly Tim comes back to later apologize, but then the flea misinterprets it to Olive, stating that her owner hates her and is willing to kick her out of the house and replace her with a new dog. With all this negative energy, Tim didn't intend to send it to Olive, probably mad because he's still a virgin. Olive sets off to save Christmas, until she runs into the postman, played by Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer from The Simpsons. The postman explains why he's happy that Christmas is not happening this year, and breaks into song about it. Now, I just want to say that's not the best Christmas special villain song in my opinion. Of course, I have seen better. But this song spits out facts and speaks the truth about having a job you love to do until it gets stressful during the holiday season. This can be so relatable on so many levels of where you'd work at. Those who work at a post office have a busy schedule ahead during the holidays, and it's hell when you work at an Amazon warehouse for it. We find out it's very clear that he has a reason why Christmas should be cancelled. It just makes me feel empathy for this guy and pity him. He's literally suffering while he's doing his job. And if he doesn't deserve some kind of redemption arc for this, then he shouldn't be considered a villain after all. He's one of many people crushed by hard labor and is literally doing anything it takes to save himself. He has the mentality reality of everyone who works at Amazon. This guy wishes that one day he will take back his freedom and enjoy his living once again without ever working a holiday in his life where you write stupid letters to someone who possibly couldn't exist and even destroy literal fucking nature in the name of celebrating the birthday of Jesus Christ. He's the average user of the r/anti-work subreddit. I think he speaks for all postmen when he mentions the cycle of despair they're in during Christmas season right now. This guy wants change! But Olive doesn't give a crap and heads straight towards the bus station, where she coincidentally meets Martini there until the postman catches Olive and accuses her of mail fraud.
Mail fraud, Olive? Cool. Well, see you around.
Are you fucking kidding me, Martini?
Martini! I'm innocent!
I'll root for you on court TV.
You dick! But Olive leaves Martini no choice but to help her, throwing in pence to save her and catching the bus in time. On the bus, Olive gets discouraged by Martini that she isn't a reindeer after all. Poor Olive.
I used to think the Pledge of Allegiance was about me, Richard Stans.
Cool, and my parents named me after a cartoon character. She then meets two North Pole natives who describe their reindeer better than my ELA teacher. Oh shit! The postman catches up recklessly on the highway like it's Wangan midnight. But then Martini throws a paper airplane right at the postman's ear. Oof. Well, that doesn't help because it's the only thing that fuels his rage even more. So Martini talks to Olive about his financial crimes against humanity until they stop to get some food. But then the postman once again gets closer to them and disguises himself as a waitress with a blue wig that almost looks like Marge's hair. Very ironic. Dan. Postman then stops Olive to inform her that Santa needs her, only to trick her and kidnap her in his van. But then Olive finds a nail file conveniently addressed to her and frees herself from the vehicle. Olive walks back depressed because she missed the last bus and can't be driven to the North Pole by the bus driver himself because he might lose his job.
You could always sell watches.
That's a weird way to spell work at Amazon. So Olive and Martini go to the local bar to get some help. And there he is, Michael Stipe. Oh boy, I can't wait to hear his singing performance. So Schnitzel and his gang torment Olive enough to make her snap and brutally shame everyone for not believing in her, making everyone in the bar feel bad. Like it's a Dawn Man video. Schnitzel decides to make up for their wrongdoings by proving to her that they aren't so bad in a song. Is this it? Is this the song Michael Stipe will sing? Will this be like a legendary REM song? Will Schnitzel's voice actor maintain all of his glory? Let's find out!
When you're this far north with no sunlight, sometimes tempers fray. Life's hard enough and now Santa's flight. It's been an awful day.
Hey, this might not be so bad after all.
So forgive us if we all have attitudes. We're up a frozen creek. We're not so bad. We're really sweet and funny.
What the fuck, Michael Stipe? I thought I saw potential in you. Seriously, you literally had that one chance to prove yourself you could sing an actually good song in this movie. But this is just so off-put, like, that escalated so quickly. Things went from 100 to 0 real quick. I could assure you that this is possible the only problem I have in this Christmas special. Man, just do better. But Schnitzel agrees to take Olive and her penguin buddy to the North Pole with the help of Round John Virgin. So bald Jim Gaffigan with an evil mustache who's named after a Christian song takes them to the North Pole, and to my surprise it looks pretty small, sort of modern, pretty local if you'd consider the North Pole to be a few hours away. But they need to get into the North Pole due to high security standards.
I don't know why, but you even got me believing this is gonna work.
After being a few times no by the elf guarding the gates.
I can't let you in.
But I have to.
No.
Isn't there someone who I could talk?
No.
Don't you even care?
Let me think. No. No.
Kill yourself!
Martini comes up with a clever plan to give him a broken bootleg watch and stage a phone call to repair it, making him disable the alarm system temporarily. Meanwhile, the postman catches up with Olive yet again, only to deliver children's letters to the North Pole. Now we go to Santa, who's having trouble deciding whether they should fly with the 7 reindeer or not, also complaining of how naughty the kids' letters have been for Christmas.
Dear Santa, lose some weight and get a real job.
Okay, now that was hilarious. I don't know who wrote that one, but whoever did must have been pretty based to do so. My bet's on Turkey Tom for this. But then Olive shows up to Santa Claus to expose those fake letters and introduce herself too. So after with enough convincing, Santa Claus gets ready to fly again with Olive. Unfortunately, it was too late for the postman to stop her because she's now getting buckled up for Christmas.
Not housebroken, not to my knowledge.
She is housebroken.
By the way, where's Rudolph?
There's no Rudolph, it's just one of those urban legends.
Why does Carmen sound like a country singer? Olive and the reindeer zoom into action to get presents sent to children, but even that couldn't stop the postman from ruining Christmas because he got all the toys, and he even kidnaps the smart-ass penguin along with it.
Aha! Here we go! The train set that should have been mine when I was a kid. That was the year Santa started putting me on his naughty list. He didn't cut me any slack, so I'm not cutting him any slack.
So you're telling me that the postman had another reason for hating Christmas? For not getting the train set he wanted as a kid? I thought he was an r/anti-work member and a communist who lost his faith in God over being put on some naughty list. I wonder what he did throughout the years. So Olive finds out Santa's real bag has been replaced with junk mail and catches a scent of the postman for whom she suspects is doing this and chases him. She gets even more aggressive when she smells that Martini had been kidnapped. But then a jack-in-the-box activated by Martini scares the postman and crashes the van into the snow. But before we continue what happens next, can we just go back to that smooth animation of the postman fainting? Like, it's just so smooth, it almost feels like it was from a cartoon made with cells. This is another one of those prime examples of how animation really brings out the magic in this Christmas special. I mean, sure, it's not that big or long, but it's only just a short glimpse of how 2D animation like this in a 3D world can be extraordinary. Santa Claus gets back the toys and Olive picks up the cardboard wings for herself to help her with flying.
Thanks for everything, Martini. What will you do now?
You know, I'll do a little loan sharking.
Olive and Santa Claus set off to deliver the rest of the presents, along with a generic Christmas song to help pass the time. Also gotta love the mouth movements on the reindeer, like they're even smoother than the entire animation of High Guardian Spice. Honestly, the animation kicks ass. They should honestly do it again in the future, like in a sequel or something. It's even more special than the Sprite Cranberry commercial. God, this movie is so underrated. Oh yeah, and I guess the Rolex brand is real in this world, isn't it? So after Olive gets a little present from Santa Claus, Martini dumps the postman at the zoo, where he will stay there for the rest of his life as a penguin. What is this ending even? All that hard work getting revenge on Santa Claus worth for nothing? Why didn't he get like a serious punishment? This man almost fucking ruined Christmas, one of the most sacred and celebrated holidays on earth. Kids would kill themselves if they didn't get their presents all because some mailman prevented them from trying to do so. He should literally be arrested instead and get charged with a long time imprisonment or even capital punishment if you're willing to do so. Everyone knows that ruining Christmas always felt like a sin. No wonder why the Meisterburgers died out and Santa Claus is coming to town. Burgermeister was hanged for his war crimes. The orange-haired bitch from Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Firing squad. And do you know what happened to Harry when he didn't return to home alone? Well, he didn't affect Santa Claus physically, but he still could have gotten the chair if he did. If this was in real life, this postman would have gotten the needle by now. At least you could have gave the Pearl Labor Ambassador a redemption arc. But no, I guess because of his rage-fueled journey to ruin Christmas because of his torturing labor and trauma from being put on the naughty list, he had to be a penguin for the rest of his life. Where no one will realize that this is just an ordinary man covered in packaging and will have to feed on raw fish until his death. Until the zookeepers watch him and find a grown man in that penguin costume, that is. Olive returns home to Tim and forgives him for what he was saying and gives Olive belly rubs in return. Olive and Fido, yes, that's the flea's name, I forgot to tell you that, get opposable thumbs. Martini is hired as a mailman. The postman gets a real present this time called dead fish. Tim and Olive watch something on TV with new slippers. The monkeys get something from Home Depot. Isaac Butterfield without a beard gets a drill and Pop Schnitzel's football. And even Santa Claus can watch the Super Bowl too. Martini delivers a letter to Olive as the new postman, who will also suffer during the holidays like the postman did. And the movie cues the credits. And that was All of the Other Reindeer. All of the Other Reindeer is what I would call the most underrated Christmas special of all time. And one of the best as well. If you would expect an animated Christmas movie to be produced by Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, have an all-star cast such as Drew Barrymore as Olive, Dan Castellaneta as the postman, and Michael Stipe, the lead singer of R.E.M. as Schnitzel, well, you're wrong. For the most part, that is. The story of how a dog saves Christmas just because her flea told her things he misheard on the radio might sound pretty underwhelming and dull. I mean, yeah, sure. It's just a dog in a normal town going to the North Pole to convince Santa to replace her reindeer, but what's so special about that? But it shares heartwarming elements that sort of make you care. The humor can be a teensy bit corny, but most of the times it can be pretty clever and worthy to make you chuckle. Like, mostly it's composed of ironicness with a sense of ironicality, whatever that means. It's the perfect balance of humor in which kids and adults can enjoy.
Dear Santa, lose some weight and get a real job.
The characters are also very clever in their forms as well, and a really all-star cast. You got Drew Barrymore as Olive, and Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson as the postman. Not to mention that Michael Stipe, the lead singer for the band R.E.M., plays a Schnitzel, like I've said before. Olive is the type of typical sweetheart dog who wants to be the idol dog for her owner Tim, chewing slippers and stuff, but she does every polar opposite of what a dog does. Instead of chewing slippers, she tries to have an intellectual conversation with Tim like she's a real human being. Martini is the penguin that's snarky and has the top priority of having clever comedy relief in him. He's always such a wisecrack and can even be a total dick at the beginning. That is until he starts believing in Olive and starts to get even smarter than he was before. The postman is a wonderful and suitable villain in my opinion. Sure, he isn't as special and scary looking like the abominable snowman and Burgermeister Meisterburger, but he still does his part pretty well. He carries a very reasonable and relatable reason to why you should hate Christmas as a mailman or any other frontline worker, such as back-breaking labor carrying a ton of letters to Santa and Christmas mail junk. And he can be pretty funny when he gets serious and even when he fails. Like I said, he's not very special, but he does his best to play his part as a villain in the Christmas special. Schnitzel does a pretty good job as the tough guy at the bar, but he does seem to still have a heart and soul for Olive, along with John too, who helped Olive and Martini get to the North Pole in his vehicle. The flea's the real reason why Olive set off to save Christmas. Sure, he may have a minor part in his role, but Olive couldn't have saved Christmas if it wasn't for him. Yeah, he can be annoying, but he's pretty clever. And Tim's a real good owner, especially for Olive. Sure, he may say some stupid things which lead to the flea misinterpreting him, but he's still sweet at heart. I love him too. But the real thing that only matters to me is the animation. Surprisingly, this has really adequate animation. Sure, it may be simple, but animating 3D characters in a 2D style in 3D is a rarely used technique, and this is a really great example of it. I remember, this was 1999, at a time where CGI animation was really starting to innovate. The backgrounds may look simple, but the character animation is flawless, and to blend it together could be so extraordinary. The animation matches the same personality, style, and aura the characters from the original book by James Otto shares. It represents his work so perfectly. This is why I call this movie the Parappa Animated Christmas Special, as described in the title of this video. The animation gives off similar vibes to other prominent examples of 2D characters being extruded out into the 3D world, most certainly like the PlayStation game Parappa the Rapper. All of the other reindeer connects a striking resemblance to the unique animation used in the nostalgic Parappa games. The Messiah Matsura influence is shining in this movie. Now, I wouldn't consider this to be the best animated Christmas special of all time. Of course, I have seen better, no offense. But with nostalgia-inducing animation like this, it's safe to say that this wouldn't be the worst animated Christmas special by animation. In fact, it's very unique and original and deserves like a 9 out of 10. The only thing that does sort of bother me is the music. I mean, the music isn't really that horrible, but it can sound really off-put sometimes, most notably in the one Schnitzel sings. I mean, come on, Michael Stipe. R.E.M. made some of the greatest songs I love to hear to this day. How could you screw up with this? I mean, sure, it was really good in the very beginning, but then you cut off to sudden craziness. The song Olive sings aren't really enjoyable to me as well. They might be to you, but not for me. I consider them sort of generic. What I could definitely agree on is how relatable the Postman song is about. Christmas can be a really hard time if you're someone who works at an essential job like a mailman or an airline employee, or anyone from Amazon, that is. The holidays are stressful enough for you to forget about the true meaning of Christmas and really separate you from your family you spend time together with, as well as losing your faith in God, which Christmas intended you to have because it's technically a Christian holiday and it's on the birthday of Jesus Christ. In conclusion, All of the Other Reindeer is an underrated Christmas masterpiece. Even though it has somewhat of a dull storyline, it's filled to the brim with comedy and pure heart. The characters are pretty interesting themselves and sometimes can be relatable during the holidays. It may not have the very best music, as almost all of the songs would end up being unimpressive, but the biggest factor of them all was the innovating and unique animation in this. It really fits in well with the original book. It's cute and interesting at the same time. The animation is really considered to take a gander at. If you are really wanting to watch a Christmas special that's fun for the whole family, or if you are sick and tired of seeing the same Rankin Bass shit over and over again and want something different, or if you are into obscure and underrated media, then All of the Other Reindeer is a perfect fit for you, and I would definitely recommend it. Merry Christmas, everyone! Make sure to subscribe to Bohemius and be sure to like and comment on the video. I'll see you some other time. Peace.